What's going on, guys? If you saw the thumbnail, we are talking today about Meta Cooler. What's up on the screen here is a deck list that I put together. Pretty similar to the last deck list that I ran, but I'm looking at this for the current format, and unfortunately, in my head, I just don't think it's very good. If you look up at the list, we have our Meta Cooler leader here. So on the front side, when your leader is placed in the leader area, you get Big Getty Star. Big Getty Star is right here. We'll go over that card next. And the Awaken condition is when you have 2 or more Frieza Clan cards in play in your battle area. Draw 2, flip 1 over. The draw 2 is really good, but to utilize the deck in the most aggro type manner that is Meta Cooler, we want actually an untapped 2 leader. So we're looking at, hopefully with the new reveals coming up for the next set, that we do get a green untapped 2 energy leader for this type of deck. If we can get the Awaken condition being the same, that would be fantastic. But right now, this is what we have, a yellow Meta Cooler list. And then once you Awaken, when this card attacks, place up to 3 cards from the top of your deck into your drop area, then choose a Meta Cooler card or a Meta Cooler core. And there's a difference, and that does matter in the deck. And then add that card to your hand. So it's a way to cycle and make sure that you have the pieces that you need in order to get up into your big Meta Cooler core card, and then be able to continue swinging for game, I guess. But yeah, so the burst 3, basically, up to 3 cards, ensures that you can make sure you're getting your infinite multiplication coolers in your drop area. As you can see, we are playing 14 of them in this list. You can play any amount up to your amount of deck space, so you could play a deck list with 60 Meta Coolers if you really wanted to. It wouldn't do anything for you, but sorry, 59 because the Big Getty Star. But once per turn, if you have 2 or more Frieza Clan cards, which is all of your Meta Coolers here, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, switch it to rest mode, and it can't be switched to active mode during your opponent's next turn, during their charge phase. Is actually a really, really strong effect for this format, preventing a lot of blockers or dual attackers and stuff from staying on board, and you just leave them there, and they can't be used as combo pieces or essentially do anything. They're just kind of stuck unless something puts them into active mode. It does not ignore barrier, so that is kind of unfortunate, but it's still a really good effect. And then activate battle once per turn, like Dark Brawly did. Choose one Meta Cooler card in your battle area. It gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So that was a bad reference. It's not like Dark Brawly. Dark Brawly popped its own battle cards to give the leader 5k. This just gives a Meta Cooler card 5k. So that's any of your coolers here. They become 20ks. This cooler here becomes 25. This guy becomes a 9, which isn't too relevant. And 20k here as well. So looking at the deck list, I did just hover over red battle cards. We are going to play a couple red cards, one for a 1 charge energy, to have a red energy, as well as to free play off of our boss monster here, the 7-drop Infinite Force Meta Cooler core. To understand how the deck engine runs, we're going to look at Big Getty Star first. So this is a field card, comes out when your leader goes into the leader area. For 1 energy, switch this card to rest mode and place 1 card from the top of your deck in the drop area. Then choose up to 1 Meta Cooler with an energy cost of 2 or less in your drop area and play it. So it's a burst 1 and then play out a 2-cost cooler. And it does not have to be a infinite multiplication cooler. It can be any cooler cost 2 or less, which is really just the infinite Meta Coolers and then these 4 guys right here. These are expansion pack coolers, and they're relatively important. We'll go ahead and do this one next. So if your leader is cooler, you have 2 or more energy, and you don't have a Unison card in play. When this card is played from your hand, choose up to 1 Meta Cooler Giant Force in your hand and play it with a marker on it in rest mode. So this, for 1 energy, it's a 1 cost, can free play your Unison in rest mode. That gives you a lot of value. You do have to have 2 energy to do it, but if this is the second cooler that you're playing on your turn, you can then Awaken and draw 2 cards off of that as well. Your limit 1, if your leader card is a Meta Cooler or Meta Cooler card, place 2 infinite multiplication cooler from your deck in your drop area, then shuffle your deck. If you play this card out on turn 1, it is a guarantee that you're going to get the Metacoolers into your drop area for your turn 2 plays. If you play it on turn 2, it's a guarantee that when you use your second energy that you're going to hit a Metacooler already in your drop area. Even though you're already milling a card, you're guaranteeing the hit. We are only playing 14. So out of a 52 card deck, 51 once Big Yeti Star comes out, and then our life, our hands. So you're looking at, quick math, 8 life, 51 cards, 53, hand is 6 cards, so 37? I think I did that right. 37 cards in deck, and you need to hit a cooler in order to free play them turn 1. So the odds of doing that are still pretty high, a lot better than if you weren't playing 14 of them, but it's not likely. In all honesty, you're probably not going to hit this on your first turn. So your turn 1 play is not necessarily this card, but it will guarantee that you can get them in the drop area for turn 2 and onward. Turn 1, most of the time, you want to play out this guy, Metacooler Core. When you play this card, draw 1 card, choose up to 1 Big Yeti Star in your drop area and activate it. Big Yeti Star is probably not going to be in your drop area, but if it ever leaves the board or gets removed or something, you play this guy out for 1 and you put it right back on board and keep going with your multiplication. Yeah. Anyway, second effect, activate main, place this card in someone's drop area. For the duration of the turn, your leader can awaken. That's not relevant in this. It was for the old cooler leader until we got the reboot here. And the second part, you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. If you do, play 2 infinite multiplication Metacooler from your drop. So you play them down, and then on your turn 2, you can pitch 2, or tap 2, pitch a card, and then play 2 of this guy from your drop area. So the whole game plan is to get out these multiplication Metacoolers, 15k bodies, and just swing at your opponent's leader over and over and over. Get them to use up their resources, and that's how you win the game. That's it. Just outpace your opponent with a lot of attacks. Our second card on the list here, Malevolent Revenge. If your leader card is a Metacooler card, it gets 15k power for the duration of the battle. Then you may choose 1 Big Yeti Star in your battle area and switch it to active mode. If you do, choose up to 1 of your yellow energy and switch it to active mode. So during your leader swing, you swing, activate this effect. Give your leader 15k. So it's a 30k swing, 25k on the front side, and then untap Big Yeti Star so that you can use it again, and then untap an energy. So this card was basically a free, I'm going to boost my leader by 15k, and essentially allow you to play out a second Metacooler on your turn. I'm going to click on this card a lot. Alright, so next up is our Unison. I think this is important. So on your turn 2, you can play out your Maddening Multiplication, and that'll let you free play your Unison from your hand if you have it. So reading our Unison here, choose up to 1 of your Metacooler tokens or Metacooler cards, and it gains a blocker. That's pretty good. Our leader's trying to aggro down our opponent, and they're trying to be defensive, but if they're trying to aggro us back, it allows us to have a blocker on board. This also allows us to block with the tokens to cover our Unison. The +1 is play a token in rest mode. Very unfortunate that it comes in rest mode, because then giving the token blocker is useless. Doesn't do anything for us. You'll probably never get to tap the -4 here to rest your opponent's cards. It's fine if you can do it, great, but you're never going to get that far in a game. You're either going to lose or outpace your opponent and win. It's just how it goes. But yeah, so that's our Unison. We're going to free play it off of the 1-drop, and then we're going to +1 and put another token on board and tell our opponent, you have to deal with this or we're going to swing with it next turn. Our Unison's also 15k, so it's another 15k swing on the following turn if your opponent can't deal with it. So value here, you're putting a 4k on board, a 15k on board, and a 15k token on board for 1 energy if you have it in hand. So your opening hand is going to matter quite a bit. You really don't want to see your coolers here in your hand. If you do, you can just use it as combo power to defend an opponent's leader swing or to combo and boost a leader swing up to 15k at the beginning of the game. That way you for sure have one in your drop area for when you activate Big Yeti Star on your first or second turn. Alright, so moving on here. We'll get to the red package here. We have our big guy. Let's talk about our boss monster. Rate him a 5 because he's so good. So, activate battle. Place one meta cooler from your battle area in the drop area. This card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. It's not a great effect, but if you swing with him, you can then use all your other meta coolers that you've already swung with for the turn as combo power, especially if you're swinging for game. It's only 1 damage, so you do have to get your opponent down to 1 life for this to really be impactful, but it'll also allow you to cycle your meta coolers if you're not seeing them in your drop area during the game. Auto, this is the best part of this card. When you play this card, or when it attacks, if Big Yeti Star, our field card, is under this card, choose up to 2 meta cooler from your drop area and play them. So when you play out this card, you will take 2 meta cooler infinite core, infinite multiplication meta coolers, and put them in your battle area. But those are not the only targets that we can activate for this. It just says meta coolers. So that can be any cost meta cooler. And for that, we have our targets of the 5-drop and the 3-drop as well as all the 2s. So if we can manage to burst a 5-drop into the drop area, this guy says, all meta cooler in your battle area gain double strike. This card inflicts 2 damage. We know what double strike is. All meta coolers. That's very, very good. So all of our 15k swings then become 15k double strike swings. This guy becomes a double strike swing. And then this guy over here also becomes a double strike swing. He's our first red card we're going to talk about. When this card attacks, choose up to 1 Frieza Clan card in your energy with a cost of 2, and drop 2 or less from your drop area and play it with its skills negated. Well, this guy has no skills, so we're going to swing with our 3-drop here and play out another cooler. So we have, on our turn, this guy is going to swing. He's going to get played, and he's going to play out a 5-drop and a 3-drop from our drop area. Then he's going to attack, and he's going to play out either another 5-drop or another 3-drop and some 2-drops, right? And we're going to just explode the board. So as soon as our 5-drop hits, these become double strikes, these become double strikes, and his swing becomes a double strike. So 15k, 20k, and 15k double strikes. And so he's played. You swing with him, play out a cooler. You swing with him, play out 2 more coolers, or play out a cooler here and a cooler here. Then you'll swing with the second cooler you played, play out another cooler. You can expand the board very, very fast with this deck. Your turn 4 is your kill turn if you can get it out. And by that, I mean the other red card we're playing is the most important card in the deck. You have to see it in hand, which is where your leader effect comes very important to burst 3 and add a meta cooler to hand. So the 4-drop here, you have to hard play it for 4 energy. It has no protection at all. Choose 1 card from your hand or 1 Big Yeti Star in your battle area and place it under this card. Choose up to 1 meta cooler core, which is our 7-drop, from your deck or your hand, and play it on top of this card in active mode. So you can swing with this first if you want to get another attack in. It's really not all that important unless you're swinging at like a unison. Activate his effect, play out the 7-drop, and then explode. Do all of your swings, get all this card, all this board advantage, and hopefully nothing goes wrong. We're playing 4 yellow Vegetas with a sparking 5 because you will have cards in your drop area very quickly. We're playing 2 Frieza Army Reinforcement just in case our opponent aggroes us down and we just can't defend it. These are free once we hit 5 life. At that point, we're not worried about really doing anything other than swing at our opponent. So if we can hold out till turn 3 and use our Frieza Army Reinforcements the best we can, we're going to have a small hand. The game's going to be over very quickly, and we don't have a lot of draw power in the deck. So you're going to see what you're going to see, and hopefully you hit the right cards. Tyrannical Blow is relatively important in the deck. Yellow does not have a counterplay that prevents the card from hitting the board. So we have access to Tyrannical Blow, and this is probably the best thing that we can use. The battle card being played has an energy cost of 3 or less. It's played with its skills negated for the turn. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards or unison cards and negate its skills for the turn. So this allows us to counter Frieza, Topo, Pan, all of our floodgates that can come and hit the board and cause a big problem. This does not hit Charismatic Villain, but at the moment, no one's playing green, so it doesn't matter. This also stops Yanchas from negging stuff, but you're going to get as much value out of this card as you can. It does cost an energy. So on your turn 4, when you go to do all your stuff, and they counter with their Frieza, right? Their robotic. You won't be able to play this. There's no way to free play this card. So that means you have to survive till turn 5 to do your big plays. And at that point, your opponent will probably have a number of counters to prevent you from doing what you want to do. So that's a problem with the deck. You have to get to turn 4. Turn 5, if you can really do it. In this format, there are decks that can just punish you really bad for tapping out, and this deck wants to tap out every single turn to get the maximum value out of its swings. I'm sure you could build a controlled list for this, but like even the Swift Retaliation Coolers are counter right here. You're not gonna you have to do your big thing on turn 4 and then live with your Frieza army reinforcements, and then I guess your unison giving something blocker. So you have, if you take 3 life here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 negates, block, 3 blockers potentially, and that's if you have like a perfect setup for it. The deck is just not there. The answers are not there. The floodgates are just wide open to blow us away. Turn 5, if you can manage to get this going and then hit them with the Tyrannical Blow, maybe they won't see it coming and they'll tap out because of that. That might be your only way to actually pull through and win the game. But obviously this is not a very expensive deck, or at least it wasn't. Today, when they revealed a couple green cards from Metacooler from BT18, it's a big number, BT18. They revealed some of the green cards that I will pull up in a minute. I don't have the tab open, so I'll have to go find it. But these Metacoolers jumped up. They got bought out. They're at like $10, $15 a piece right now. Look at this, high. $11.99. That's where we're at right now on TCG Player. This is pretty up to date. So if you didn't have these from set 2, set 2, the card's been around forever, and they've always sat around like $1 a piece because you can play a ton of them. If you don't have them, good luck getting them now, honestly. If this deck pops off, I hope they reprint Infinite Multiplication Metacooler. It's ridiculous. But so, yeah, in my opinion, Cooler's not good, not now. Based off what they revealed, I'll get to that here in a couple minutes. I don't think it's any better at the moment. So we'll jump over here to the next page. This is the stuff that we're looking at. There's not a lot at all. Cooler hasn't really done anything. Red Blue has been the only like saving grace for Cooler at all. Championship promo used to be big money. It's a good mill card. It's got barrier. You can just sit on the board. Tyrannical Assault has seen some good play. Suffocating Tyranny had big hype around it. It sees some play, but only at like a 2 of in a deck. Soul Striker Mill, Cooler Mill. Those are where you're going to get the most value out of these cards. Outside of that, they won't be played. Combo Attack Cooler comes in with the Majin Buu combo to bounce Tyrannical Assault back to hand, or I guess now Suffocating Tyranny. We had Metacooler right here that went along with our promo Mecha Frieza leader that is errated and unplayable now. So outside of that, this card has no value. This card had a ton of hype around it when it was revealed. This is the alternate art version that was reprinted in Mythic Booster, but it's a green unison, which will go with the green stuff they're coming out with now, I think, depending on what it is. But Activate Main, if your leader card is mono green, play a Metacooler token in active mode. So it's better than the yellow one that we just talked about. Activate Main, discard 1 card and draw 2 cards. A lot of value there. And then -4, play 3 more tokens. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. This card has to have 5 markers on it in order to resolve the -4. So that is pretty important to know. You will have to put another one under it and +1 in order to be able to use the -4 on the following turn. Or I guess just play it out for 5 and then sack it. Whatever. It's a 15k swing. This card has a lot of value for 3 energy, and then you can play Charismatic and stuff off of that as well while it's on the board. So your opponent might want to deal with this before it gets out of hand. That's the whole purpose of Metacooler. Deal with it before it gets out of hand. We have this card right here. Cooler Effortless Strike. We don't have very many green extra cards that are cyclable. Maybe that's a bad word for this, but there aren't many like yellow has that are free play or just easily put into the drop area where this card becomes worth it to put in the deck. As a 15k, it can be countered now by Vegeta, which is pretty popular. Gets hit by most counter plays coming in. It has value. I think so. When this card's played, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, they choose 1 card in their hand and discard it. It's fairly good. It's just the extra card cost, reducing it for each extra card in your battle area or drop area. The new Frieza archetype has a green field card, so that's good. It makes this a 3, but if you're not playing dormants and stuff throughout the game, this is never going to get reduced down to that 1 cost that we want it to be. Being able to counterplay 4 or less is really good as well, but there are other cards in green that can do that. So it's just okay, I guess. 5k combo if anything. This is the card that I'm kind of pumped up for, but again, it relies on green extra cards. This card is not new. It's BT13. It just never saw play. It never needed to see play. So for 1 energy, if your leader card is green, when you activate a green extra card, play this card from your hand, and you can't play copies of this card for the turn. It's okay, but if I'm going to spend 1 energy to play an extra card, right, I would rather play an extra card that KOs something and allows me to play Crit Frieza, Surprising Attack Frieza, for free, rather than this cooler that costs me an additional energy. So I don't like the value in it. Both cards have crit. One is free and has something where if you KO'd something with a skill, you can play it. That has access off of battle cards and other effects, where this is just if you play an extra card. And like I keep saying, green doesn't have enough extra cards to give this value. So if they print something in the new set, I can see this card coming back and being playable. But if we look at the rest of the cards here, all of this yellow, the only one that's really good is this 7-drop SR, and we'll get to that one last. Free play blocker, if you have a Big Yeti Star out, that's pretty good. It's not bad. 2-drop, 20k blocker, can't attack if you don't have Big Yeti Star, so not playable in anything, really. And we have a couple cooler armor squadrons. None of them are really good at all. They're all from set 2. Back in the day, might have been playable to some extent. When you play this card, it gains double strike, so for 1 turn, it's a 15k double strike. Not great. Blocker, when this card's KO'd, remove it from the game. Choose up to 1 Frieza Army Cooler's Armored Squadron. Jeez. Other than Door, so other than this guy, and play it. So when this blocker gets sacked, you can play out your 15k with double strike that will then lose it if you played it on your opponent's turn. Or you'll play out Salza here, and he has double strike all the time. Who would have guessed? Still 15k. And activate main, remove this card from the game. Choose 1 Cooler's Armored Squadron from your drop area, play it, and it gains 5k. So you basically combo, you play this guy out. When he dies, you go into Salza. When Salza swings and doesn't die, right, because no retaliation or anything, you activate main and you play out Knees to have double strike and 5k. So You have a 10k that dies, a 15k double strike, and a 20k double strike off of this. It's an okay engine. It's not anything that you really want to main deck unless you could free play stuff, because that is what Dragon Ball is all about now, free playing. Then we have Secret Evolution Cooler. It's fine. All coolers in your hand gain Evolve 3 off of a cooler. This could actually have value in the future as well as right now, but you have to have this card on board. So if we could find a way to play this card for cheaper, maybe it's a swap engine or something, this card gains immense value because of the 7-drop that I'm about to show, or if they print something more relevant. We have Clan of Cooler. This was a early promo, a crit card that gains double strike and 5k. It still costs 4, so unless we have a cheaper way to play this out, it won't see play. Then we have Elite Bloodline Cooler. If there are 3 more Frieza Clan in your drop area, reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 1, so it becomes a 3 instead of a 4. And then nil 3 and potentially restand. It's a really bad 20k double strike. Dual attacker, 20k dual attacker. But then we have our 7-drop. This card's from set 2. It's fancy, doesn't have an SPR, should have gotten one. But 30k double strike, relevant in this format, right? If we could play this out for cheaper than 7 energy, it is extremely relevant. Activate main, so the card has to hit the board, stick, and then you can activate its effect. Remove one of your battle cards from the game. This can be this card, this can be any other card that you have. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and switch into rest mode. Clears blockers out of the way. Then choose one Cooler's Army, Armored Squadron, or Frieza Clan other than Cooler from your drop area and play it. So this will give you access to every single Frieza Clan card in the game for free, as long as this card can make it onto the board. Now, I don't want to give too much away. I'm sure you can already think of some cards, but there are a lot of very good Frieza Clan cards that can be played off of this effect. At the moment, it's just not plausible. It's not viable. So that's what I'm hoping to see with the new yellow stuff coming out in BT18. Some way to play this cooler out for free. But yeah, so let's go check out the 3 new green cards, and I'll kind of give you some feedback on how they might impact the game and where we can be heading with it. But yeah, give me just a sec. Okay, so this is about Cooler. This video is about Cooler. So this is going to be the main focus here. It's a little bit lower. Alright, so Meta Cooler Multiplying Threat. Add 1 card from your life to your hand, so it's a Self-Awakener. When this card attacks, look at up to 5 cards from the top of your deck, play up to 1 Infinite Multiplication Cooler in rest mode, shuffle your deck, and this card gets plus 10k. So, it's not a guarantee that you're going to hit an Infinite Multiplication Cooler, because it is out of an unknown area instead of in your drop area where you can 100% guarantee that you're going to hit it. But, you take a life, so you're Self-Awakening if we don't get a green Self-Awakening leader. And then you're playing out a 15k body in rest mode that your opponent has to deal with, or else, just like before, it's going to build up. And that's every time this card attacks. So on your first turn, obviously you can't do anything with this card, but on your second turn, you have all the value in the world to cycle this card and other multiplication coolers. We have a new Big Yeti Star. And it says right here, this card is also treated as Big Yeti Star in all areas, meaning that our yellow cooler stuff will work with it as well, even though it has a different name. Activate main is a burst 1, just like the original, and for 1 colorless energy, so this can be any type of energy. Switch this card to rest mode, look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck, and play 1 cooler. Then place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is different than the previous one because we are again searching from an unknown area. We have no guarantee that we're going to hit the Big Yeti Star that we want, or the Infinite Multiplication Cooler, and that's not a good thing. The Activate main on this card is good, but I would honestly rather play the old Big Yeti Star than this one, because I can guarantee the hits on that, rather than potentially whiffing and not getting the same aggro that we want. So I'm not a big fan of this Big Yeti Star unless our leader can somehow guarantee that we're going to hit them. It's just not very good. Activate main for 4. Place 1 Metacooler Core card from your hand under this card. Place up to 1 Metacooler Core card from your deck or drop area on top of this card, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. This is a better way to get into our 7-drop that I showed at the beginning of the video. You don't have to play the red core card that you're reliant on, and this card will probably already be in the field if our leader puts it there. So this has a lot of value for us because we no longer have to worry about getting counterplayed. The 7-drop has to get counterplayed, and that's a little bit harder to hit than Big Yeti Star. So I like this. I like it. It's a blue and a yellow, or green and a yellow, meaning that they do want the deck to be multicolored, as you can see by the card next to it. But I still don't think this is the way to go. I don't think this is going to make your Metacooler play better, except for that this opens up the deck a little bit more, as long as we can guarantee that we're hitting the coolers that we want to hit. This also doesn't mill as much. So unless we have another way of playing out like the 5-drop that gives us double strike, it's just not as good. It's not as good. We can't put that in the drop area and then guarantee to play it, if that makes sense. You have to draw into it, and I don't like it as much. I think it's less consistent. Then we can look at our 8-drop over here. Permanent Metacooler cards in your battle area gain blocker. I'd rather they had the double strike or maybe crit. Crit would be huge. When you use this card's successor skill to place 4 or more battle cards in the drop area, play up to 4 infinite multiplication coolers from your deck and or drop area, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. It's a very interesting effect. So our secret rare in this deck, if we were going to play one, would probably be Celzino, just to get in more swings if we happen to get to turn 5. And then also discard our opponent's hand if it's not already low enough to go for game. Successor 3 on this card is pretty good, but we do have to have 8 cost on board. We do have ways to get into that, but it does cost energy, and that's why I'm not sure how much I actually like this. Being able to place potentially 4 coolers that we just used on board for the successor skill into our drop area to then play them back out is really oppressive. That's really good. But we run into the same issue where Floodgate. If someone just floodgates, we can't do anything. So I'm not a big fan of that. I think the only way that we can make this deck more viable is if the green leader that we get is exactly like the one we currently have. If it is, or has a way to put more coolers on the top of our deck, or arrange the top 3 or top 5 in an order where we can put them on the top of the deck and guarantee the hits, way better. The deck becomes way more oppressive. With a green leader, we have access to the removal that we didn't have in yellow that I talked about earlier. So there's definitely perks to turning into the green color base of the deck, but I do still really like the yellow stuff because that made it more consistent. Consistency is going to be really important, and I hope that we get it. But at the moment, these are the only reveals that we have, so this is what we're going off of. Hopefully, if you guys check out my videos in the future, I will make another Metacooler list once all the reveals happen. I'm kind of excited to play the deck. I do want to try it out. I do want to see if it can work, but right now, it's not good enough. So, I'll see you in the next one.